biggest mistake I see investors make is not correctly analyzing the existing income and expenses. We tend to get real positive when we're excited about something. So that's a good thing, but we also have to be pessimistic to have to pay for it. And so you got to mitigate that risk right up front.
Well, we saw a lot of that back in just recently with people using 100% financing to buy income property and the property, and they're going in the door with a negative cash flow. And then when something happens, it just, there's no way to recover. You want to talk a little bit about that, that type of mistake that people make, because it's not all hunky-dory, but there are major mistakes that investors have made. You want to talk about a little bit about that?
And I think it's something that we saw maybe for the first time in history on an institutional level. You had major institutions making these mistakes, and it basically is over leverage. So when you buy a property and it has too much debt. And the reason why someone would do that is because, hey, I don't have to put money down.
I don't have no money. Right? I don't have no money to put down.
Right, and so I can go buy this property. The challenge is that the net operating income, the money that's left over after you collect rent and you pay your expenses, is not enough to pay the mortgage. And if it's not enough to pay the mortgage, it's certainly not going to pay you.
That's a horrible deal.
That's a horrible deal. And a lot of people got into those horrible
deals.
A lot of companies got into those horrible deals because they got wrapped up into the philosophy of it's just going to keep going up. Real estate, it's real estate. They're not making it anymore. They're just going to keep going up. Well, real estate is cyclical. It goes up and it goes down.
Right.
And we have to remember that. Therefore, the numbers have to make sense. When I say the numbers have to make sense, the net operating income not only has to pay the mortgage, but it also has to pay you. It has to provide a cash flow. And if you don't budget for it to pay you, when things go wrong, you're going to have to pay for it. So that's the biggest thing you don't want to do. You don't want to put too much debt on a property to the point where all the income for the property is going to pay the debt and there's nothing left over. The only time you would go into a property where there's high leverage or higher than normal leverage is that the income is higher than normal, and it's able to not only support that leverage but also pay you.
Right.
And when I say pay you, that's your cash flow, and you have to budget that in. That's the whole point of buying income property.